So yeah, I'm out here representing Canada. They won yesterday. They beat South Africa 1-0 in the round of 32 and they've advanced to the round of 16 of the World Cup. It's super cool. Canada kind of quietly making a little bit of a run. We'll see what happens going forward. But obviously that's not the point of today's episode. I made an episode yesterday talking about the football a couple days ago. I'll make a few episodes on this show talking about the World Cup, talking about things going on around it. I'm just wearing the shirt just to support, just to kind of represent a little bit, represent the country. But that's actually not what I'm going to talk about in this episode. This episode is going to be a little bit deeper. It's going to be me talking about something a little bit more interesting that's just something that's on my mind right now, something that I've been thinking about recently in my life. Obviously, it's my show, and if you watch this show pretty consistently, you know that I think a lot and I think way too much, and sometimes my own mind is my own downfall, and sometimes I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to my own thoughts in my mind. So this is an interesting concept that I have been thinking about, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that this can give some value to you in some way in your life, and it can help you find ways to move forward to do better in your days as well. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start talking about the concept for today, which is the difference between reflection and rumination. So reflection is a good thing, right? When you're thinking about your mind, right? Thinking versus taking action. I've talked about this many times on this show, right? The whole retard maxing stuff. It's like, are you going to be overthinking a certain situation to the point where you're in thought paralysis, you're not taking action, you're not doing what you need to do, or you're just going to go and take meaningful action without the necessary reflection, and you're just going to keep going, right? I think reflection's good. Reflection is basically you're thinking and you're kind of, maybe you're thinking about things that happened in your past. You're thinking about things that you're going to be doing, thinking about plans for the day, for the week, small things, big things, deep things. A reflection, I think, is something that is going to move you in a better direction. Rumination is you're just thinking about things that are not helping you in any way, things that are keeping you stuck, things that are keeping you stuck in the past and preventing you from taking action. I think that is really the main difference between the two. Ideally, if you're thinking about something, you use your reflection to come up with an answer to some question. Oh, I don't know, what am I going to do today? What are some things that I can accomplish today, or what are some plans that I have? What are things I'm going to be trying to do in these next couple weeks, couple months that are good for me, that are going to help me move forward in my life? Like, what's my workout schedule for the week going to be? What am I going to eat? What are my meals going to be like? I don't know, things like that, right? Sometimes I fall into that, but sometimes I actually I'm sitting there, I'm reflecting on some deeper topic in life, and I find the answer. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this is what I have to do. I think that's what makes reflection good, because sometimes you actually come in and you're thinking about something, and you actually find the answer to the problem that you're trying to solve. Rumination is when you're just kind of sitting there wallowing, kind of thing. You're thinking about things that happened in the past. An example of rumination from a sports perspective, right, is say you make a terrible error that leads to a goal, right? You're playing in soccer, football, whatever you want to call it, right? I'm calling it football. In football, you make an error that leads to a goal. Terrible error, your team loses the game because of your error, right? Rumination is like when you can't go to sleep at night because you're just replaying that over and over in your head, and you're thinking about what you could have done better in that moment. That's rumination, because rumination, it's not helping you, right? You're thinking about a situation that you can't change. It's already happened. It's already done. You got to move forward rather than being stuck in the past, rather than just playing that thing over and over in your head, being depressed, cutting into your sleep time because of it. It's a common thing. We as humans do it all the time. I've done it myself. But I'm just trying to paint the picture here, the difference between reflection and rumination. Reflection is something that can actually help you, and rumination is you're thinking about something that's not going to move you forward. It's keeping you stuck in the past, or keeping you stuck in some fantasy world that is never going to exist, right? In the case of the replaying the moment in your head, you'll be thinking about things you could have done better, but you can't do it because it's already happened, it's already done. You didn't do that moment. So why spend so much time thinking about it and being anxious over it and all that kind of stuff and feeling depressed because of it, whatever it may be. At times it is just kind of human nature. You hear anyone that's really in sports and you make a big mistake, especially if it's in a super huge game, then you'll always kind of have that, it's like a cliche type of thing, right? Where it's like you're going to be struggling to sleep tonight, right? It's like you won't be able to sleep, right? Or even if you do something good, you have the same types of things, because you're also it's not a depressive state, but it's more of of an excited state. But even still, like, it cuts into your sleep time. Again, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but that's kind of the example that I'm giving when it comes to reflection versus rumination. And what I also think is super important is, I'm a Christian man. I'm going to be talking about it from a biblical perspective, from a godly perspective, because that is the way I try my best to live my life with. When you read the Bible, you reflect on it, right? You're not going to read the Bible and just like, oh, it's like, yeah, cool. No, there's so much hidden meaning, hidden stuff. Like Jesus tells his stories in parables. His teachings are in parables because he wants you to think for a little bit. He's trying to tell you something that is hidden deeper than what he's actually saying with his mouth, a hidden philosophical understanding and wisdom and knowledge of how to deal with a certain situation and how to be righteous in the eyes of God and follow God's word. That is why he teaches in parables, because he wants us to look a little bit deeper than the surface level to find the true meaning and the true wisdom. So that's reflection. That's a form of reflection in the Bible. And of course, I find that when I'm thinking about something more spiritual in my life and I'm reflecting on things, sometimes I actually really, like, the answer just comes to me. And I think that's God kind of helping me, guiding me, moving in a better direction. Like, I feel like sometimes I find that I'm reflecting on things, and then I have like that eureka moment. I find it. It's like, oh yeah, this is what I have to do. Of course, this is what I have to do. That makes a lot of sense. This will make things a lot better, right? I find that is God's hand kind of affecting me and helping me move forward, right? It came to me like at times, like, I'm gonna try and think of a good example of when this happened. Like, I feel like a good time of when this happened was my whole story. My whole going to Portugal, trying to make it as a professional football player. Before I went to Portugal, I never had faith. Like, I didn't have faith in God, didn't believe in any of that stuff. But then, at some point, maybe at the end of 2023, I was starting to get into it more and more, and then I was starting to pray more, and then eventually I started to read the Bible, started to go to church, and was slowly growing and growing in faith. Now I'm here where I'm at now, and I'm still very young into my faith journey, only like a little over 2 years into my faith journey. So I'm still a very young Christian, but on this show, I've tried my best to talk about the words of the kingdom, talk about glorifying God, all that good stuff, and trying to be a positive influence as much as I can. But like, I look back and I think about how I actually didn't really have a lot of faith back then, but at the same time, the decision for me to make the decision to go to Portugal to try and make it pro, I was never nervous. I remember being on that plane flight, like about 3 years ago today. Like, we're only a few days off of the 3-year ago mark from that exact moment where I graduated from high school, and then I went straight out to go to Portugal to try and reach my dreams. I remember that I was never really nervous. I was sitting on that plane for the first time, don't really know Portuguese, with a ticket in my hand, and I wasn't nervous. I was pretty confident that was the thing that I wanted to go and do. And maybe like a year after that, I was reflecting. I was thinking, well, of course. I think it was, in part, the journey was there so that I could find faith, so that God could manifest himself for me, so that I could continue to grow stronger in faith and let that become my foundation for everything. I truly believe that I was like, that was instilled in me for a reason, trying to become a pro footballer. It was there for a reason. I truly believe that I had that like deeper meaning, that deeper purpose that back then I didn't understand, but as I grew in faith, I really do learn. And as I was reflecting on these things, I learned and I realized, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, that this is God's hand in my life when I'm not even realizing it, so that he can reveal himself to me and be present with me through it all. And of course, the difficulties I went through was also him pretty much teaching me, hey, this thing's not your foundation. Jesus should be your foundation and nothing else, right? Because there have been a lot of things that have moved me away from the sport of football, back to the sport of football, kind of inside and outside. And even now, I'm still here in a moment in my life where I'm not really sure if I want to keep going or if I want to just kind of call it and try something else. But I think what God was trying to teach me throughout that whole time was this stuff's not your foundation. Your foundation is in God. It is in Jesus Christ. And that is how you're able to go and achieve a good life and a fruitful life and live and have great fulfillment. When I was reflecting on these things, I found that out. That kind of gave me a lot of strength, a lot of peace in my heart, and I was able to keep on moving forward, to keep on grinding through it all and grow in faith. And I'm still growing in faith every single day. So from that perspective, reflection is really a great way to connect to God. It's a great way to find some answers to the more philosophical, deeper, spiritual parts of life, is you're sitting there reflecting. because that's useful. It's useful stuff, because once you realize that Jesus is in control, then all fears are distilled, right? As I've said many times, like in the Bible, the most used phrase is "do not be afraid." Right? Is the most used sentence in the Bible is "do not be afraid," because that's exactly what God's trying to tell you: is that if you submit to Jesus Christ fully, you will not be afraid of anything, and you will go and you will ride that wave and truly live an amazing life. I'm still working on it, right? Like, I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And I still question things, and I'm still praying to God every night on the difficulties that I'm dealing with and my own personal battles that I'm dealing with. But reflection has really been a great way to help me find these types of answers, to find my identity, to find my feet a little bit. Obviously, again, still young, still looking forward, still trying my best. Another good example of reflection is when I look at myself, I'm 20 years old, I'm going to be starting school. In 3 years, when I graduate, I'll be 23, turning 24. I realize, like, just how long of, like, that's a lot of time, but, like, just how young I still am at that time, right? Just how much probably will happen in those 3 years. Because think about it, it was 3 years ago that I decided to make the change and go to Portugal, and I think about just how much has happened in those 3 years, just how much I've changed. But I'm over here. Sometimes I fall too much in the rumination, thinking, oh, how am I gonna make it? How am I gonna achieve good things in this life, type of thing. When then a reflection thing is to say, hey, like, take a step back. Understand that in 3 years, when you don't have it figured out now, right? You went through it. You're learning. You're growing. You now have to regroup. And in 3 years, when hopefully, if things go well, obviously only that's God's plan. If all goes well, you'll have a better idea as to what you're gonna do, right? And 3 years is a long time. Obviously, it'll go by pretty quick, but because I've seen just how quick the last 3 years has gone by, but it'll like, a lot will change. I'll become a completely different person. Many different things will enter into my life and leave my life, and it will teach me lessons and help me grow stronger. So I should not be so worried and so fearful right now of the things of trying to make it all work right now, because you think about like this next stage in my life that I'm entering into. And when I end that stage, I'm still super young and I still have so much time to make things happen, right? So I can use this time to grow, to learn, to figure out what I actually want to do with my life, to figure out how I can help as many people as possible, to make the most, be as useful as possible in this life, and of course glorify God through it all, right? So as I'm kind of doing this, that's a great reflection point. That it's like, hey, you can take a step back and realize, hey, you actually have a lot of time to figure this out. You don't have to be so overwhelmed right now about these things. You have all of this time to figure it out. And eventually you will figure it out, right? You don't have to succumb to the pressure. Sometimes there's the societal pressures if you have to get this done quickly. You got to have a career, you got to know what to do, right? You can be 25 and not know what to do, and I think that's still fine. Like, again, it depends on where you're at, but considering my life and the things that I've gone through and the stories that I have and kind of the transitions I'm making right now, I feel like if I'm 25 and I'm still kind of figuring out, it's okay. Hopefully I have an idea as to what I'm going to do by that point, but I'm 20 now and I'm overwhelmed by it. But like, you think about how long that time is, there's still time, right? So I need to trust in my God more, submit to him more, and allow that to pour into me, that I may move forward in a better way. So those types of things are reflections. I'm actually kind of like half reflecting here, because those are good things. Those are positive thoughts in your mind. Things that actually can help you answer some questions, help you move forward in your life in a positive manner, in an optimistic manner, rather than from like a depressing, pessimistic, overwhelmed, overstressed type of thing. You can be optimistic about life, optimistic about the future. Reflection can help you get there and help you be in a better mindset, and that you can go and do the things you need to do, right? And I've had many different times where, like, I'd be waking up in the morning and I'd be like, what am I going to do today, right? I don't really know what is on the plan for today. And then I think for a little bit, maybe spend like 10, 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what's going to happen. And then I come up with an idea. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do this today. This is something that's on the list of things to do, right? Like, today it was the laundry, making my bed, like changing the sheets, that kind of stuff. That was something that was on the list for today that I realized that I had to go and do. Great, amazing, right? That's good. That's reflection. That's how reflection can help you live a more productive life, have more productive days, win the day, win the week, win the month, have a better plan for yourself, have an overarching goal, help you find a little bit more peace, help you find some answers. That's reflection. But and this is an important part of the episode that you should pay attention to if you've kind of been half watching up until this point. Pay attention to this part. What rumination is, if you are having thoughts in your mind that make you fearful, that make you worrying, that make you overwhelmed of certain things in your life, make you question things, those are ruminating thoughts. Those are thoughts that are not going to help you move forward. Because if you're spending all your time worrying and being fearful, it's just more time that you're not taking action. It's more time that you're wasting, that you're not taking the action you need to take in your life. Those are ruminating thoughts. When you're just thinking about what could go wrong, when you're thinking about things of the past that you did wrong, fantasies about what you could have done in the past, but obviously it's never going to happen because the past is the past, right? Things that keep you stuck where you are. Thoughts when you're thinking, when you're reflecting, but the reflections are not actually giving you answers, not helping you move forward in any way. Reflection should lead to eventual action. And that's where it's good. If reflection can lead to eventual action, in the case of like you're planning your day, you're like, oh, what am I going to do today? I don't really have anything planned for the day. You think, you reflect, you're like, oh, and then you realize, oh, yes, okay, I can do this today. And then in the day, you end up doing that thing, you take the action. Reflection leads to taking action. Rumination just keeps you stuck. Rumination just keeps you sitting on the couch, just like thinking in a like philosophical way, but it's not helping you move forward in any way in your life. And it's not helping you get out of where you're at, right? If you're having problems and you're ruminating on things because you have a problem in your life that you want to solve, thinking about it over and over again and replaying the same situation in your mind over and over again and fantasies that will never happen in your mind over and over again will not help you actually take the action, make the change, and improve. It'll keep you stuck exactly where you are. So that is probably the best way to differentiate between rumination and reflection. You can definitely just take action, but I think for at least for me, like for a type of person who maybe wants to just take a step back, recognize the situation, and actually try and build a plan, have a structure to move forward in their life. Like I need a lot of structure in my life. For structure, if I have structure, I think I'll do a lot better. Like throughout my day, if I'm just kind of going with the flow, like I try to go with the flow just because like God says you should truly trust in Him, right? Trust in the Lord, lean not on your own understanding, seek the kingdom first, and the rest shall be added on to you. But as a person, I find that like when I'm just kind of going about it, I don't like I'm not really like I feel like a little overwhelmed. But I need things to be structured. I need to have like a plan for things, right? So I find like reflecting on things. Of course, when I reflect on the Bible, it's always an amazing, like the best part of my day type of thing. And when I'm reflecting on like what to do with my day, what to do with my life, like from a smaller perspective or even from a bigger perspective, it helps me to kind of have that structure and find ways to take action, right? But when rumination comes, you're not taking action, right? You can spend the same amount of time on something. Like you could spend like an hour, and I've definitely spent an hour reflecting on things. I find that it is good. It is good if you spend a little bit of time. It doesn't have to be like a set time, like maybe right before bed, like you're reflecting, you know, how did the day go, right? You're rating your day, what you're going to do for tomorrow, or like just some other thing that maybe came up in your mind because you had a conversation with someone or you saw something online that made you think about something or you read something in the Bible that made you think a little bit more about your own life. It's a good time to reflect and think about how you'll do better moving forward the next day or the next week or throughout your life, right? Or then they're just your next action, how that will be better than your previous one, right? I think that's a good thing. I think the whole retard maxing thing, the taking action, don't think at all. I think there's absolutely a place for that. But for me as a person, I find that there is a place where you can sit there, you can think and find strategies and ways and answers to actually moving forward and taking action and having like living a better, more fruitful life. You just need to be careful, right? You need to be careful when you do it. You can spend you can spend an hour thinking about useful things, thinking about, okay, what can I do going forward? How was today? Today was good. How am I going to do better tomorrow? How am I going to win the day tomorrow? What are the plans that I have for tomorrow? What are things that maybe I'm going to be dealing with in the next couple weeks, couple months? Maybe plan it, put it in the calendar, figure out what I'm going to be doing. What's going to happen in the future? How am I going to live my life? What are some goals, some long-term goals for the end of the year and maybe even beyond that? You can spend an hour doing that, and I think that's a positive reflection. That is something that could help you move forward in a good way. You can also spend an hour thinking about a bunch of slop, right? Man, like I don't want to do this, man. Like it's too scary, right? Like Like, man, why did I make that decision, man? Like, I was just thinking, I didn't explain this thing well enough. When someone asked me this question, I didn't answer well enough. I had this awkward moment. Like, why did I do that? Why couldn't I have just done this, right? What, like, I want a girlfriend. Why couldn't I just ask this girl out? Why am I stuck in this fearful moment, right? I'm never going to move forward, right? You can already tell the difference, right? A reflection is more positive. It's more positive self-talk. The goal of a reflection is to find something, some actionable you can do to move forward in a better way. The rumination is more of a negative self-talk. It is more of a lamenting in the past. It is more of a literally just sitting there thinking about what could have been, right? Or being fearful of things of the future, right? Fearful of things that you might have to do to move forward in your life, right? Let's take the example of what I was thinking about this morning. I was thinking about business this morning. I was thinking about just this idea of you start a business and then you make your business, you grow it, and then a company buys your business, you make $50 million. What would you do with that money, right? I don't know. I don't know why that was in my mind. That was just the kind of thing I was thinking about. But it's an interesting thought experiment because the whole point is there's no such thing as the get rich quick. There's no such thing as the easy way to the top, right? There's always stresses, and I find in my life maybe things have been a little bit too easy, and I need a little bit more stress, a little bit more difficulty, do things that I don't want to do more, because that will help me when it comes to actually moving forward. It's a basic lesson. It's an easy thing, but it took a little bit of reflection to realize, yeah, no, that makes sense, right? But this kind of hypothetical situation is like, you realize, like in my mind, at least the way I was reflecting about it, I realized, yeah, you don't just live an easy life and then you get to the top and you make a bunch of money. You could just do nothing and you could just have your house and your cars and your family and financial freedom, right? No, you have to go through the late nights, the hard hours, the hard grind, the difficulty, the talking to people, the rejection, right? The hiring people, the dealing with bad characters in a business. And you got to go through all of that and then some for years and years and years on end. And then maybe at the end of it all, you can get to the point where you can finally relax and you can retire early and you can truly enjoy your life and you can truly use your money and serve others. Maybe you donate to charity. Maybe you start a charity. You do things that fulfill you, that help the world and that help yourself as well, right? And that glorify the kingdom of God. You have to find that balance, right? You need to use money for the good, but money is a pretty important part of life. That's the world we live in, right? So I was thinking about like that hypothetical, what happens, how would you get there, and what would happen if you did get there? And I realized it's stresses, it's difficulties, it's not easy, and it's never going to be easy. If life stays easy, you're never going to make it to that part where you want to be at. So you either have to release yourself from desire, stop wanting that thing, or put more effort in, do more work to actually try and get there, right? So that type of a reflection is a good thing because it can allow me to say, all right, I'm going to be the type of person to do more work, to put more effort in, right? Because, I mean, that's definitely been a thing in my life where I've been thinking about just how I can put more effort into my days, into winning each and every day in my life. This reflection, this hypothetical in the morning was a very interesting thing for me to think about. And I spent a little bit of time on it, but the reason why it wasn't rumination and instead it was reflection is because it brought me to a positive conclusion. It brought me to a conclusion of all of these things that I've been talking about. The fact that I still have a lot of time to potentially make it happen, right? The fact that I still have many years to grow and learn and improve and go through stresses and difficulties and overcome those difficulties and fulfill that potential. I have a lot of time, right? Obviously, it goes by quick and I have to use it, but being in that moment gives me a little bit of peace and a little bit of confidence. This reflection kind of helped me realize that. And it helped me realize a couple of the necessary steps and things that I need to take going forward, that I need to stop focusing on the feelings and feeling good, and instead you got to just do what is necessary. Do what your obligation is in your life, what you need to do, what your calling is, what God wants you to do. So this reflection in this hypothetical scenario helped me kind of get to these types of realizations to keep me kind of in a good headspace, moving in a better direction, right? That's why it was more of a reflection, right? Because it gives me something that, okay, I know what I need to do. Let's go and let's take it one day at a time to try and go and do it, right? Whereas, let's say, like hypothetically, if it was like a rumination, right? If I was ruminating on this idea, it would be more I don't want to start a business. Like I want to just get rich, right? Why do you have to go through the stresses of it, right? It's like, is there a way you can just go through no stress and make it to the top? The answer to that question is no, by the way. But when you're ruminating on this, you're thinking about it, and you're like, yeah, that feels a little bit overwhelming. Like, there's a lot of things that I like just don't feel comfortable doing. So okay, so I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. It's like, wow, like that's hard. Like, it's gonna be hard for me. I need to find something else, right? That's rumination, because what you've done is you've just fed those lies, which is lies in your mind. It's rationalization in your mind, the fears, the worries, the what could possibly go wrong, right? Like the what can go wrong, the not wanting to go through stresses and difficulties just because it's hard, right? Ruminating would be to just like let those types of thoughts prevent you from taking action and keep you in a negative mindset and keep you just exactly where you are. Whereas what made it a reflection, because I wasn't really thinking about those things. I was thinking about like the optimistic side of it, the positive side, the I have time part, the there is still a possibility to make this happen part. It's pretty crazy, but like if you can make it happen, you can make it happen. And here's what I need to do. I need to go through a little bit more difficulty in my life to try and get there, right? To get to a point where I can actually endure a lot of stress. This was actually like an Andrew Tate teaching back in the day, where he was basically like the more stress you can go under is the more successful you'll be. The more stress you are able to deal with is the more successful you'll be. If everything's easy and then one small tiny thing ticks you off, and I find sometimes that's the case with me, then you're not really in a position where you're going to be able to go through the necessary stresses you need to get to the top, because there are those necessary stresses. But whereas if you have high stress tolerance, you'll be able to go through anything and you'll make it. You'll keep grinding. You'll keep growing and going. You're not just gonna stop because something gets hard. You're gonna keep going and just push right through it, right? So I need to work on that, and that reflection has kind of helped me realize, okay, I need to work a little bit on the difficult moments, the things I don't want to do, the actual emotions, keeping them in check. This has been a pretty big problem for me for a while now. I'm gonna be honest, but reflecting on the things that I've gone through in recent times a little bit, and reflecting on how, like, what would I do in this situation if I had that money, and how would I get there? It's helped me realize, yeah, like I'm nowhere near the type of person that would ever even be close to getting to that moment at all anyway. So we got to keep on moving forward, right? We got to keep on trying and growing and learning, right? So that's a reflection. That's a good reflection. And that's something that can help me go forward. Even me just reiterating these points on this show right now, it's good for me. It's helping me move in a better direction and just be in a better headspace. So reflection, rumination. Reflection is something that is made more positive, helping you take action, leading you to action, moving you in a better direction. Rumination is something that leading you away from action, you're leaning more into the fears and into the worries, into the stresses, and stopping you from reaching your potential in your life. So you need to be very careful. If you're the type of person that ruminates too much, you should maybe try and think of more positive things, or you should definitely full send the whole retard backs thing. Just don't even use your mind. Don't even think. Just take the action that you know you should be taking in your life without thinking at all, right? That should be your thing. But if you're able to use your brain to reflect on good things, on positive things that move you in a better direction, I think reflection is good. It kind of keeps you centered. It keeps you kind of like in a good headspace and kind of motivated, let's say, for lack of a better word. Motivation is a very overused word, but we'll use the word motivated to keep on moving forward, to keep on winning your days, and to kind of just keep on grinding, right? So you need to understand the difference between the two, and I hope I did a good job. I think I kind of covered it with a couple of examples and just some other deeper explanations. I hope I did a good job explaining the difference between the two. Sometimes there's like blurred lines between the two. Sometimes you might look at it and it's like, I actually don't really want to reflect anyway, because maybe even if you're spending an hour reflecting and it was a good reflection that helped you kind of have some clarity on things, you're still wasting an hour where you could have taken more action. You can look at it from that perspective, but I think also reflection can help the action be a more precise action, where you're not just going at something without any structure. The reflection can help you find a little bit more structure to what the action you need to take is and how you will go about it. But you need to be careful. You need to be careful that you're not ruminating, that you're not just wasting your time in useless thoughts and mindless nonsense that's not going to help you move forward in any way. And make sure when you're thinking about things, when you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about it from a positive perspective. Even if there are mistakes you made, and even if there are sins you fall into, and even if there's shames you have, whatever it may be, you're always looking at it from how can I overcome this type of thing, rather than letting it consume you. What are actions I can take to overcome this right now or in the near future? Those are some strategies and some things that you can maybe think to yourself and talk to yourself in your reflections to actually be able to move forward. That's why a lot of people like write in a diary, for example. They journal because that's a version of reflection. It's a version of like I don't do that stuff personally because I pray and I read the Bible and I reflect my words and my voice in my mind. I don't write stuff down. I do like a daily plan, like daily checklist type of thing, like what are the tasks of the day and can I get it done? I do that type of a thing, but I don't really journal and diary just because I don't really see the use in that for me personally. But that's why a lot of people do it because that is a version of reflection. It is a version of, and you're actually writing it down. So you actually like instead of it just being in your mind, it's right there on the paper for you to see and look at and read and reread and review and re-review, right? So that's why people do it because it helps them with clarity. It helps them understand more precisely what you need to be doing going forward, right? And it's not rumination, it is spending time on mindfulness. That's why people do this stuff. That's why mindfulness is a popular thing on the internet. That's why it's talked about a lot because it is something that's useful, but you need to be very careful. I can't stress this enough. You need to know the difference when the thoughts are good thoughts that are helping you move in a better direction or thoughts that are not good thoughts that are keeping you stuck where you are. You need to understand the difference and be able to just kind of erase those thoughts that are not helping you at all, right? Erase those thoughts every time it even comes to your mind. Just kind of, even just right, do a little shake, slap yourself a couple times. Okay, right? Let's get in a better mindset. Let's get in a better headspace, move in a better direction. Let's not get paralyzed by my thoughts. Let's take action and move forward to improving your life. So I hope that this was a good reflection. I hope like this was a reflection. I truly think this was me reflecting on the ideas that I'm thinking about and things that make sense to me and could have some level of value to you. I hope you enjoyed it. If it did help you in some way, if you learned something today, if you got some value in some way, shape, or form today, please, I would ask that you show your support in any way that you can by leaving a like, subscribing to the show on YouTube, and following it on Spotify if you haven't done it yet. I would appreciate any way you could show your support to show that you truly enjoyed this episode. Even you being here is good. I appreciate you for watching till the end. And yeah, I thank you. If you're here, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here, for watching. And I hope that this helps you in some way move forward and understand the difference between reflection and rumination so that if you're that type of person that's always prone to overthinking, you can know what strategies you can potentially take to turn that thought into actual action, actual actions, actionables, massive action to move forward rather than just being stuck exactly where you are, being stuck in your own mind, living your whole life in your own mind instead of actually taking the action. Hopefully this video can help you find a few steps and a few ideas to actually making those changes and making those steps and taking that action and moving forward and truly living that fruitful life you really want deep down within. So that's all I got to say for today. Thank you for watching this episode of the 365 Podcast. As always, continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. I try my best in this show to incorporate God and Jesus Christ in all of my thoughts, all of my ideas, because it is something that truly means a lot to me. And yes, prayer, Bible reading, those are other forms of reflection that also give you a good amount of peace because that is the way Jesus Christ works. He is the Prince of Peace. And inviting him into your life even more, it's another form of reflection. It's another way that you can move forward in your life and instead of just being stuck exactly where you are. So continue to glorify God every day throughout your life. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for the next episode.